Hey everybody, how's it going? We're here with a timeless reading. Welcome. Okay, first cards that we have out, Queen of Cups and the Chariot. It looks like you're feeling your way through a situation. A lot of cups here. A lot of water energy. I think that you've accomplished something big. Eight of Cups feels like there's a recognition here. Because I think that you're moving into a position where seeing Queen of Cups here and also seeing King of Wands here. Queen of Cups is you being in a spot where it's like you're connected, you're in tune, you're in touch, and because you're really opening up to that part of yourself, I'm seeing that the challenges that you've been facing, you're able to move through them successfully because of that, because of staying connected in the way that you are, because of listening to yourself in the way that you are, because of tuning in, you know, and paying attention and being present. So I'm seeing that there have been some challenges that you've been facing, probably most of all on an emotional level, and also too because you've been staying tuned in, because you've been staying tapped in, because you've been connecting. I'm seeing that you've been able to overcome all of it, specifically because of that, because of you connecting with yourself in this way. I'm seeing Eight of Cups here. It looks like there's a situation where there may have needed to be a decision about whether or not you would stay within something, or whether or not you felt like you were still meant to sort of, you know, we feel a calling to be in situations where it's like, I'm needed here, or I'm meant to show up in this way. I think because you've been connecting with yourself at this point in a way that's actually working for you, which means that it's also just working the way that it's supposed to be when it's working for you. Like, supposed to be meaning working in a way that's in flow with you and what you're doing, where you're not feeling a sense of resistance because you're really just like touching base. I think you're realizing that there's a situation that maybe you've been in that at this point you're looking around like, I don't think I'm like really being called to stay within this any longer. And it seems very much like you're taking it upon yourself to do something about that now at this point. And it could have been something that you were resistant to. And I'm also seeing there be multiple energies that you are embracing currently, where yes, there's this part of yourself that is connected, that is noticing what's going on around you, this part of you that you're tuning into. And there's also this part of you that's like, I don't want to be passive. I know that there is this part of me that sits within acceptance and sits within love and sits within receptivity, and now I'm also connecting with that part of myself that is making these more like influenced creative moves, that's making these moves where I know that if I'm tuning in and I'm touching base and I don't feel like there's a calling for me to be here anymore, I'm gonna do something about that then. I'm not gonna stay sitting within this and then look around and be like, why are things feeling this way? Or why do I feel like I don't belong here anymore, you know? So it's both of those parts of I'm being receptive and I'm tuning in and I'm looking around at what's going on and I'm looking within at what's going on, and then I'm also doing something about it. So it's linking that feeling with an action as well. And that's what I'm seeing is happening here. This is a really, really fine balance here of your feminine and your masculine energy. Doing both. Figuring out how. And both of them are needed too. This isn't about like one or the other. This is about an integration of both of them. But it seems like it all started with you tuning in and working with that part of yourself. I think you also just being like open as well with like, I have this part of myself and I have this other part of myself, and I need both of them to meet one another and cooperate with one another. There may also be somebody within your life that you've been working with. I'm hearing working with good, working with well. it looks like something is now being completed. So this is, you can be working with a part of yourself and feel like it's completed a process now. You can be working with another person and feel like this has completed a process now too. Of like, I invested in this, I did what I needed to do, I sort of gave what I needed to give into this, and now it's allowed this situation to complete naturally. How you would know is because you feel that. This isn't somebody coming through and being like, okay, you're done here. But this is your feelings telling you that. And that's how you'd know. I'm hearing the word joint. Some of you, there is a person that you're connecting with, I'm seeing. You could have also had your ideas about what something was. Like, I'm seeing over here the Ace of Cups. This can mean a lot of different things. This has to do with you connecting with a person, but it may be different than you initially think it's going to be. I'm seeing Six of Pentacles, and I'm also seeing Ace of Cups here. So this is something where there is reciprocity within the connection, but because the Hanged Man is here, this means that you could have possibly like interpreted what this, it's like, there's an opportunity that presents itself to you, and when you were reading it initially, you may have seen that something was compatible and thought that it meant one thing. To have the Hanged Man here, it's like there's more to this than what was initially seen. But I'm seeing that's also meant to like come into play here. So it doesn't stay as being something where we're confused about what's going on here. It sort of reveals itself through the process. It comes to be. Like the recognition of what this actually is and what's going on. To have the Hanged Man, this shows that there can be a delay. This shows that something shifts from what it was initially. This can also show like a shedding of sorts too, where there's like a reframing that happens. I'm seeing Justice and I'm seeing Knight of Pentacles, which means that there can be like an offering or there can be a proposal. Justice is like, it can be to make something right. This can also be too that I don't know if this is happening right now. This may be later down the line. Or this could look differently than you think it's going to. Like you could think one thing and then it's going to show up in a different way. What this has to do with is something had been going on before where you could have felt like something was happening that wasn't meant to be happening, or like it wasn't happening the right way. It's like something like that. And then I'm seeing that is going to, it's going to be fixed basically, but it may be in a different way than you think it's going to. Let's say it like this. Let's say that you find yourself in a situation where you feel like something happened and it was like wrong what happened. Or like, I thought this was supposed to be the way that it was and then it didn't end up going that way. Something like this, where to have justice here, it can be something that was happening that was out of balance. Or something where it was like, this is the right way for this to be happening. And then just like something sort of got in the way of what was going on. It could have felt like, or you could have been like, I really thought that like this was the right thing, or that was the wrong thing, or that like pushing through in this way is like how it's supposed to go, you know, like all of these sorts of things. But then what I'm seeing is that there's going to be a correction for this. But it may be different than you think it's going to be. How I'm seeing this is going to happen is that somebody is going to look at a situation. I'm seeing two people. Somebody's going to look at this situation and how things happened, and they're going to be like, I need to make this right. And then they're going to do something about it. But I'm seeing this is going to take time to unfold. So this is not going to happen initially, okay? Because somebody needs to get to a place where they're realizing that they're the ones that are meant to do something. That's what's going to be happening. But that may not have been initially perceived. So let's also say this too. You can find yourself in a situation where you were like, I showed up the way that I needed to show up within this, and like I can't really do anything further, and so I need to sort of like do what needs to be done here by not remaining within this. What needed to be done was done for now, but there's going to be, it's basically like this, from a very zoomed out energetic standpoint, you and this other person have been working together with one another. For now, everything happened that's supposed to happen. And there may be a bit of a separation, or a bit of, now I have to go over there and I'm being called away to go do this. Or I feel motivated to move that way over there. And you could feel like there's a bit of a, I guess we're done working with one another. And there's this like walking away that may be happening. It looks more so like one person is doing it more than the other one. Where it can be kind of like, oh, I'm not supposed to be here anymore. Like, we already finished what we were supposed to do, even though things are incomplete. You can feel like this process is not complete, but it's complete for now. What I'm seeing is that basically you did like part 1 of this, but there's going to be a part 2, but it's not right now. So you and this person are going to be brought back together again, but it's not right now, okay? So if you're leaving a situation and being like, something about this just doesn't feel like this is the last time I'm gonna see them, or this is the last time I'm gonna interact with them, or this is the last time we're gonna like be working something out, or it feels like we didn't really complete working something out with one another, what I'm seeing is that there is going to be a force basically that brings y'all back together with one another. But it's not right now. What needed to be done is done for right now. This situation is going to be happening later. The determining factor of when this happens is when somebody realizes that something was left in a way that was not right. And that this isn't correcting the other person's behavior. This is somebody correcting their own something, that they're looking at this and being like, I can't believe that I did that, or I can't believe that I left things like that, or like I made that choice and like now I need to go back and correct that. When the person realizes that, so there's like a lot that's going to be realized basically. At that point, when they realize what was going on and what needed to happen, in order to allow this to grow, because it seems just like the reason why part 2 can't happen right now is because somebody still hasn't realized something very, very important. So they may have misstepped in some way. There's going to be a correction for that misstep, if you want to call it that, because this person is going to realize like, oh, that's how this needs to be corrected. I need to go back in and do this. And then I'm seeing that's when this is going to take place. That's when this is going to happen. But you can't be the one to tell them that. They need to tell themselves that, basically. Like, they're going to have to realize this on their own. And that's also why you're meant to, you did what you needed to do within this. And that's why you're called elsewhere now. Why you're not meant to be within this anymore. Because basically by you empowering yourself and being like, okay, I'm done here. I'm reading the room. I'm not supposed to be here anymore. And then taking it upon yourself to embrace that aspect of your energy and to go where you're being called next, that's going to sort of begin the process of ignition within this other person that's actually going to end up empowering them to take action in a way where they don't currently take action. But it's going to happen in a subtle way. It's going to happen in a way of you showing them rather than telling them. So even if they don't immediately understand that, they're going to understand that. Again, it's not your job to tell them. They are going to realize this when they're ready. They're just not at that point yet. But this is going to be happening because I'm telling you, there's going to be a part 2 to this. the person is going to realize that there needs to be like I need to redo that, or I need to come back through and make this right, and that is going to happen. But if you're this energy that looks in this situation and is like, I've done everything I can, and you're like you're not going to kick off that's what kicks off this process. That's why it's necessary. If you stayed within this, it would delay this thing happening, because it's going to take place in this way. But in you not doing your part, it's not going to allow this other person to step up and then do their part in this. And that's why this needs to happen. But it's going to happen. So that means like this initial person that's feeling like I did what I needed to do within this, there's like really nothing left for me to do. You have to go on to your next thing. That's going to ignite the spark within this other person to sort of work through in the way that they need to. And then there's going to be this point of someone coming to the conclusion of, I need to like redo this. I need to make this. I'm just getting that again and again and again. But they do not see that now. That's the thing. So you can have somebody being like scratching their head like, what do you mean there's more for me to do, or I should have done something differently, or I need to correct something? Like the person is not seeing that currently. They're going to see that. And then as soon as they do, they're going to be like, wow, I have to go back into this. Like my job isn't done within this yet. So there's that recognition of like, oh, like there's like the next assignment for me to do in this situation. And basically the like system is going to resume, or like the cycle is going to resume. So it's going to cycle back in again into action. Like the resume button is going to be pressed. Although the resume button is this thing is playing out constantly. Just because you guys are separating doesn't mean that stuff isn't happening. Stuff is still happening, but it's happening separately. But then there's going to be the coming back together, okay? All right, my friends, we're going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.